Welcome to Power the New You Spiritual Alchemy. Hello, everyone. Hello. So today, I am going to show you how I use my pendulums. But first of all, what is a pendulum, anyways? So as you can see here, this is a pendulum, one of many pendulums, because if you didn't know, fun fact, a pendulum is just a weighted object that could be made out of crystal, out of metal, out of stone, like this ones. These ones are out of metal, even though this one has a rose quartz inside, with a string that can swing freely. So this is a pendulum. As you can see, they're lovely. They're really pretty. And I love my pendulum. So how do you choose a pendulum? How do you go about choosing a pendulum that you're going to use and that you're going to love? Well, it's actually pretty cliche, but you're going to know. It's going to call out to you. You are really going to know. Me personally, I like to touch them. I like to be around them. Usually, I pick them up from my local metaphysical store. I don't like to order them online because I like to touch them. I like to feel them, and that is kind of hard to do, when you look at a pendulum online. But hey, you do you. Give it a try. You never know. So either go to a metaphysical store or order online. You can even make your own pendulum. It's just got to be a weighted object that can swing freely in different ways. It needs to be able to swing freely. So these are my pendulums. So how do you use a pendulum? Now that you got your pendulum, you love the pendulum, it feels great. How do you use a pendulum now? Me personally, I love to ground myself. I love to take a moment. It's a moment for meditation. It is a moment for acknowledging your emotions, your feelings, and it's a moment to clear your mind. It's a moment that you need to clear your mind, especially when you're first using a pendulum. It is a moment for you to get feedback from the universe or your subconscious mind. The pendulum is mostly used for your subconscious mind. It's a great tool to connect to your subconscious mind. I do personally think so. Okay. So how do you establish a signal from your pendulum? How do you interpret the answers? How do you establish the signal? How do you know, right? So when you have a pendulum are mostly used for yes or no answers. So, for example, is my name so and so? And it will swing depending on what your subconscious belief of no is. Let me give you a quick rundown what my subconscious belief of no is. So, my subconscious belief, if you think of movement, like when you move your head left and right, or that's basically a no answer, like those windshield wipes left and right. That's a To me, that's a no answer. But when you move your head up and down, to me, that's a yes answer. Yes, I agree. It's a yes answer. So when my pendulums swing back and forth, to me, that's a yes answer. When my pendulums swing left or right, to me, that is a no answer. So, you do you. Uh, you can choose whichever way it's more comfortable for you. Obviously, because this is very personal, you're establishing a connection with your pendulum, and this is a tool that is very handy. It's very useful. I don't only use it for tarot cards. I also use it any questions, any yes or no questions that I have throughout my day. So I carry them with me. They're like my watch, I or a ring. They're always on me most of the time. So I do have a special connection with my pendulum. I hope when you get yours, you do too. You can develop that kind of friendship with your pendulum, right? So how to decode an answer? The way that you do this is that you would ask a specific question. This is how you will get feedback from your pendulum. You will ask a specific question. So I am going to do my best to do this on camera. I don't know if my angle is very favorable for what I'm about to do. I'm not sure if you're gonna get a clear picture, but I'm gonna do my best. So you're gonna hold your hands steady as best as possible. You're gonna hold your hands steady. And we all have micro movements, by the way, so don't judge yourself too harshly. We all have micro movement. I'm not sure if that direction, because of the camera, it's gonna do it properly. But let's give it a swing. Let's go for a ride with the pendulum, right? So this is gonna be my questions. So this is how I start. Let's say, should I go to bed soon? And the pendulum will start moving and saying no. From my point of view, it's moving left and right. But then again, I am talking, which is a little harder. You want to be quiet and you want to breathe, but it's a little harder. But because I'm doing it on camera, so let's say, is my name Maria? No. So it's gonna move left and right. Did I have dinner earlier? So it's moving back and forth. So that's how you use the pendulum. One question at a time. You would hold it lightly. I think this is where people get tripped up. When they hold their pendulum, they hold it too tight. They're like holding to their dear life, or they're like holding it barely hanging into it. So just hold it where you feel comfortable, but you remember you gotta let that energy flow. So just hold it just like that, and you ask your question and let the pendulum do its thing. It's gonna move. If I'll give you a quick practice that you can do if you want to know if your pendulum and you have a good connection. It would be good if you can ask your pendulum to move in your head. Remember, you're gonna do this in your head. Right now I'm talking, so it's gonna be hard to have it swing properly because I'm talking and I'm kind of moving a little bit. But usually when I do this, I would quiet myself and I would say it in my mind, sometimes a couple of times, one or up to almost 3 times. I ask the same question, though I don't shift gears. I ask the same question, right? For example, did I have dinner earlier? So in the pendulum, it's gonna make its movement. You should obviously keep an eye on your pendulum to see where it's moving. And the next exercise should be, you should ask your pendulum. It will be very useful if you say round and round. And if you are not sure on how to do this, imagine that the pendulum is moving round and round, or just imagine that the pendulum is moving round and round, round and round, and say it in your mind. Say, I'm gonna try to quiet for a moment, and I am going to say it in my mind and see how it goes. So as you can see, Well, I have a very established connection with my pendulum. So when I say left or right or round and round, back and forth, my pendulum starts swinging almost right away. But that's a good test to begin to say, okay, am I have a good connection with my pendulum? Just imagine or say in your mind, round and round, just the word round and round, round and round, and see how the pendulum responds. In the same token, you can say left and right, left and right. But remember, you are holding steady. You are holding steady and saying it in your head. Right now, it's not really fair to me because I'm talking. So it's not gonna be as accurate as we would hope and like it to be. But for example, sometimes what I do, say you do have a established connection with your pendulum. Sometimes I grab my tarot cards and I put an object. I ask a question. For example, see if we can see my lovely tarot cards, my favorite tarot cards. These tarot cards are so old, but I love them. So these are my tarot cards. So let's say I ask my pendulum, should I use these tarot cards? Should I communicate today with this tarot cards? They're saying no with this. Okay. Should I communicate with this tarot card? No, because I am supposed to be in bed, not reading tarot. So they say no for both. Fair enough. I'm supposed to be in bed. But anyways, so that's how more or less you will use your pendulum. Something important to know when you're using a pendulum, when you own a pendulum, you finally have your pendulum, you know how to use it, and now you're an expert. Perfect. All right. So, how do you clean these things? Right, because you're gonna project a lot of emotional energy sometimes to your pendulum. You are telling the pendulum, you are projecting energy to your pendulum, and and this carry a lot of your energy around, right? So much like you have to cleanse yourself, you have to cleanse your pendulum. For example, when you're mad or when you are in distress, I don't use any divination practice. I try to ground myself before I do anything, because it's just, your thoughts are gonna be cloudy. And when you're using your pendulum, it's the same thing. But sometimes we can be a little impatient, right? And we want an answer. So in either case, it's good to clean your pendulum. It's good to make sure that pendulum has good energy. Just like you cleanse your body, you gotta cleanse your pendulums. So, like I said, I don't own many, so I keep it simple, and I only rinse them underwater, in the cold water, and I say a little prayer, like clean and clear, cancel, delete, or transmute any energy that is in this pendulum. So let me repeat it to you. My personal prayer, you can say whatever you want, because this is how it makes me feel better. Doesn't mean you have to, but you can use mine, doesn't matter. I say, cancel, clear, delete, or transmute all form of lower vibrational energy. That is one way that I do it. And I say that as I'm rinsing it under the faucet. So all that yucky, muddled energy or whatever old stock energy can get released from the pendulum. Remember, it's your energy. So, and this is how I cleanse my pendulum. As you can see, even though they're metal, they haven't been rusted or anything. So I do suggest though that you do get a good quality pendulum. You're gonna be, once you learn how to use these things, you are gonna use them for a lot of things. A lot of yes and no answers are gonna be coming from this pendulum. So you want to have them around for a while. The more that you use them, the better you're gonna get. And like everything, you can only get better at what you do, right? So use your pendulum. Go ahead, have fun. I mean, it's amazing sometimes the answers that come out. Sometimes what I think is a no is a total yes. And, you just got to go with it and roll with it. Yeah. Or, and the less talked about pendulum is actually your own body. Sometimes your own body, if you stay quiet and grounded enough, the pendulum, your body, your personal pendulum, which is your body, sometimes will swing back or will swing forward for a no or yes answer. So, and that is an interesting method of getting a yes or no answer, because all the answers derive from you, really. If you ask me personally, that is my belief. But yeah, to me it comes from your subconscious mind. It's a way to connect to your subconscious mind. It is fun, and if you ask me, it is pretty safe. I've been doing it for years, and I can have enough of my pendulum. I love my pendulum. I hope you can find one that you can love too. Thank you so much for sticking around, and have fun with your pendulum. Bye bye.